What's going on? YouTube, man, it's been a minute. Ah, man. Um, Sitting back in this studio, sitting in this chair in front of you guys again, um, is where I'm supposed to be. Is where I'm supposed to be. Finally taking the advice of my family, the advice of my good brother. Let me just make sure my settings is good before I get to talking. Yeah, let's go here. Good. Okay. No, wrong one. That one. Okay, that's better. And make that default. Good. There we go. All right. Now, finally taking advice of my brother. Shout out to my bro Wayne Breezy, man. He said, Mose, I love you. You know I love you. So as your brother, I gotta tell you. He said, man, you gotta start doing live shows. You gotta be more consistent with doing the live shows. And I said, Breezy, I know. I said, you know my schedule, you know my job, how I am at home with the fam and the kids. He said, I know, but he said, I don't care how many shows you give me, at least give me one. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to at least start with one. Obviously, as we get into the season, once the season starts, we'll have more content just because there's just so much to talk about in so little time. But we're at least going to start with one live show a week. It's going to be Fridays, 4 o'clock. Got the blessing from the wife. Got the blessing from the fam. So we here. And we're just going to keep being consistent with this and building this up. So we're here to talk about a few things here in this first show. Not a lot specifically to talk about, but we're getting closer to that point, right? We're getting closer to the time. Jacqueline Knox, friend of the show, family member of the show. She shows support over on the TWBN, the Wayne Breezy Entertainment Network. The Nitty Gritty Niners shows Wayne Breezy show during the week. She's always one of the first in the chat. Shout out to our sis, Jack Knox, in the building. Appreciate you so much. We're getting close to training camp, and this is what we're looking for. The offseason has been great. It's given us a lot of great storylines. Some of those we'll touch on later on in this episode, but man, we're getting closer to real football, the time when people are working things out, guys are fighting for roster spots. We have veterans who are, holding down their team and trying to build towards a winning season. We have superstars who are trying to stay at the top of the mountain. We got young guys who want to reach that superstar status. This is when it really, really gets exciting. Today is Friday, July 7th. Can you believe we're already through the first week of July? Training camp for some teams, a majority of teams, starts July 18th. Most of the teams that start on July 18th, those are the rookies that are reporting first. And then the veterans report sometime after that, usually between the 20th and the 26th. I think the latest a team is reporting is on the 26th. Some teams have the rookies and veterans reporting at the same time. And what I'll do is I'll drop a link in the comment sections and I'll pin it so that if you're watching this video and you want to check out when your team is specifically going to be reporting to training camp, you'll have all of that information at your fingertips. But it's going to get really exciting just to see guys, getting after it, putting the pads back on, going to work. Hopefully the weather is kind to some teams geographically. I'm sure the heat will be sweltering in some cities more than others. But this is the time where guys really, really put the work in, or they see the fruits of the work that they've been putting in all off season. And this is a time now where we start to look at, who's going to make rosters, who's going to be a part of that final 53-man roster. And we got rookie draft class that came in. We got a crop of undrafted rookies who are trying to make a name for themselves. But then we also have a solid group of NFL veterans who are currently still free agents. And these guys are looking to continue careers and to make teams. And I'm sure with the experience that they have, especially performing in the NFL at a high level, I'm sure they feel like there aren't 53 guys on 32 different NFL teams that are better than them. So let's take a look at some of the top free agents by position group, and then let's talk about where they could end up or where we think they might end up. We're going to start with the quarterbacks. I think this list, I only have a list of 5. Most of my lists only have 4 or 5 guys in it. This list of guys honestly probably won't get phone calls unless something happens to someone on a current roster, right? That list includes names like Carson Wentz, Teddy Bridgewater, Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, and Nick Foles. For me personally, this is just me personally, I think the Carson Wentz era is done. Maybe a backup to finish the rest of his career. But it seems everywhere he goes, it's the same outcome. Not only is it the same outcome, but I hear similar rumblings everywhere he goes. He's not quite a team player. He's very selfish. When you start the whenever we talk about someone in their character, for me, I always go back to when Tyler Perry imitated Maya Angelou. He said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them." And I think we could have believed it after Philly. I definitely felt you could have believed it after Indianapolis. And going into Washington, I was like, I don't know. And same reports are coming out of Washington as well. So I think it's done as far as that. Teddy Two Gloves, I think, again, injuries unfortunately have derailed his career to the point where we weren't really able to see what he was capable of. I think he's a solid backup. I think he should be on a team with one of these young quarterbacks. Now, some of these places already have guys in place. Carolina, I think they're excited about Matt Corral as a backup. Houston is excited about who started for them last year. Y'all know his name. I got to look it up. But they're excited to still have him because he has a year of playing experience, and they're just excited to have him in the building. But I think any one of those young quarterbacks, he could be a solid bridge guy for a solid veteran for them to learn from. If you look at the Anthony Richardsons, the C.J. Strouds, the Bryce Youngs, I think Teddy would be an amazing addition to one of those teams just to help those young guys along. So he could hear his name called at some point throughout training camp. Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles. I think Matt Ryan proved that he's washed in Indy, unfortunately. Flacco, same thing with the Jets. Nick Foles. Those guys, I'm not really too excited about any of them. But again, veteran arms. There, if you have a young guy who goes down and you just want to make sure that you have somebody who's competent back there, a good list to pull from in the event that you need it. Shout out to my bro, Boss 100 in the building. What's poppin', Mose? How you feeling about this Trey Lance talk? Bro, we're going to get to that. I appreciate all of my Niner fam, who also tune in to Mose Knows over here. I'm definitely going to touch on it, boss. So stay tuned. We're going to get to that for sure. I'm going to try to be here maybe an hour and a half. So if you can hang on. We definitely going to get to it. I don't want to spoil it, but you asked the question, and we definitely going to touch on it. Moving back to the top free agents, let me put my banner up. Breezy was right. It's hard when you're doing the show by yourself. I gotta start, getting with it. I ain't been doing these shows, so we're gonna get with it. Running backs. Now this is a group I like. I like this group. Obviously, it starts with Dalvin Cook. Very, very good young back in the league. He can kind of do it all. He can run in between the tackles. He can run outside the numbers. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. I like Leonard Fournette too. I know he's a bigger back. He's not maybe as explosive as he once was, maybe in his LSU days, his Jacksonville days. But they call him Playoff Lenny for a reason. Like when the game is on the line and you need somebody to get to work, Lenny get to work. Kareem Hunt, I mean, he kind of took a dip after the whole, violent incident, all that, came out, left the Chiefs, kind of got his footing back with the Browns. I feel like Kareem Hunt could be a number one back somewhere, but obviously he's still out there. I think the thought and idea of him is still not sitting well with a lot of GMs and a lot of teams. Then you got Mark Ingram, and then you got Zeke Elliott that's still out there. For me, I honestly don't know what's taking Miami so long to pull the trigger on Dalvin Cook. I think he's expressed interest that he wants to go there. I think if the 49ers didn't already have Christian McCaffrey in the fold, I think he would be wanting to come to the 49ers more just because every year we're in the dance. Every year we are so close to getting over that hump. And I feel like if we didn't have Christian McCaffrey and we needed a lead back, I think he would want to come to us. But as far as the offense that Miami runs, which we know is similar to the 49ers, he's expressed interest. No disrespect to the backs that they have because they're former Niners backs. I love Raheem Mostert. I don't think he's a number one. I love Jeff Wilson Jr. Again, don't think he's a number one. I think either one of those guys would be perfect complements to a Dalvin Cook being a number one and then being a number two, number three. I think Mike McDaniel is being loyal to his guys, which is why when he got to Miami, he brought over Raheem. And when we were looking to trade Jeff Wilson after we picked up Christian McCaffrey, he pulled the trigger on that trade. So he's being loyal to his guys, and that's good. It's good to have a coach that has your back and is loyal to you. But at the same time, if you can improve on a position, which Kyle Shanahan showed you, we making this trade for Christian McCaffrey because we need to improve this position, right? He loves his guys who are there. And if you make this team and you are running back for the 49ers, you've done something special that our assistant coaches have seen, that Kyle have seen. And if he can trust you to run the rock, that's no slight. But when you have a chance to improve your team, make your roster better, you have to do it. So I don't know why Miami's taking that long to pull the trigger. I know the Patriots are also in the mix for that. I would hate for a division rival to get him when you clearly have the opportunity to get him and he wants to go there. I think that would be the best fit. A lot of teams are saying Buffalo, pair him there with his brother. Let James Cook be by himself. Let James Cook build his legacy on his own and not have to be number two to his big brother. Leonard Fournette, I think he can make a lot of teams better. I think if you want to send Lenny to Buffalo, because here's what I think. I think as dynamic as Josh Allen is, you want to prolong his career. You don't want to change what he does because he's so dynamic on the offensive end, running the ball. But you want to prolong his career, right? And I think the same thing would go for Baltimore in this sense. So I think Buffalo and Baltimore would be two spots that would be perfect for Leonard Fournette. But Buffalo more specifically because, that 1-2 punch of James Cook and Leonard Fournette, I listen. Kareem Hunt, I mean, he can go anywhere. I got to take a look and see what teams really, really need a back right now. But he's one of those do-it-all kind of guys. I could see him, and I mean, I hate to say it because I like the young kid that Carolina has. Like, I'm a big fan of Chuba Hubbard, and then they got Miles Sanders. All right, so Carolina, no, because they got Miles Sanders, and then they got Chuba Hubbard. But I mean, Philly got rid of Miles Sanders for a reason. I don't know if the Patriots would take a fly. I mean, they're looking at Dalvin Cook. I don't see why they wouldn't also have interest in Kareem Hunt should Dalvin Cook choose to go to another team. I think that would be an option. I think what would also be annoying, I mean, I know they got Ronald Jones there, but if Dallas got Kareem Hunt to back up Tony Pollard, that might be scary too. So I mean, Kareem Hunt can go to a lot of teams. He can go a lot of places. Um, there's no. Mm, ooh, I like Detroit too. I know they want to run with Jahmyr Gibbs, and they brought over David Montgomery. Kareem Hunt is better than David Montgomery because Kareem Hunt is a better receiver out of the backfield. And then behind them, you got Craig Reynolds and Jermar Jefferson. So one of them guys in the 3 or 4 can go. You bump down Montgomery, and then you have Kareem Hunt to be the 1-2 punch with Jahmyr Gibbs. I like that too. So I mean, there's options for these running backs out here. It's a lot of options for the running backs out here. So Mark Ingram, Zeke Elliott. Um, I think the market is really really low for those guys, and I think it's going to take an injury for those guys. The first 3 guys, Cook, Fournette, Hunt, have to be gone, and then there has to be a significant injury for Ingram or Elliott to get a call. That's just my thought process on that. We got Mrs. Mose in the bill. She said, "We back, baby." Yes, mama, we back. Thank you for your love and support as always. Boss says Cook to the Dolphins would be dangerous. Listen, and I think the Dolphins need it. I think they would be okay with Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. But I think that combination of what they have on the offensive side of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then you add in Dalvin Cook into that mix to stay competitive with the Bills, even though they were competitive last year, and I think they won one of the games against them. I think when you get later on in the season, I think that's what it is. Miami was hot early, and then they tapered off. Understand injuries to the quarterback. I'm a 49ers fan. I know what injuries to the quarterback do to your team. I get it. But they tapered off late. And I think a guy like Dalvin Cook makes your offense that much more dynamic, where you can kind of build on that and carry that into the later on the season. Shout out to the bro, Rich Kelts. Yeah, he says, my brother, we're going to have to get you on one of these. I know you do a lot of Niners content like I do, but I just appreciate your football knowledge in general. So we definitely got to link up and do something soon, brother, for sure. All right, moving to the wide receivers. We all know Nuke is out there. DeAndre Hopkins. He can go a lot of places. Cleveland has been mentioned, reuniting with Deshaun Watson. We'll talk about him later. The Patriots have been mentioned, trying to add some more firepower to that offense. Bill O'Brien coming back to, run that offensive show. Having Nuke Hopkins. They just signed Devontae Parker to an extension. So having that firepower on that offense, I think it's something that they're looking for. I'm just excited to see where he goes. He said that he would retire, put a tweet out. He said, "I will retire the day that I'm not a 1,000-yard receiver." I do agree that he is a man of his word and he would do that. I do also think that depends on where he goes and how prolific that offense can be with him in it, depending on who the quarterback is, who's calling plays, yada, yada, yada. So I think if he comes this year, especially after missing some time last year, still trying to get his bearings right, if he doesn't have 1,000 yards, I wouldn't say he would retire after that, but he said he would. So that shows me that the mindset is there, right? That he's ready to go out and put up 1,000 yards no matter where he goes, and he's the guy to do it. Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones, some solid veteran names. I don't think you can go wrong with them, but I think, again, it takes an injury. There's so many spots for wide receiver in this league. There's so many young guys, fresher bodies, more speed that you can look to. So Kenny Galladay, highway robbery, what he did to the Giants, stealing all that money and not producing. A big body wide receiver. I think he goes to the right situation where he's not the number one, maybe not even the number two, but he can offer some size, maybe be a big slot receiver, get you anywhere between 35, 55 catches, be a solid role player. I think that'll work out for him. N'Keal Harry is one that I'm scratching my head about. I love the kid coming out of Arizona State. I thought he was a really good wide receiver. Were the Patriots the right situation for him? I don't think they were. But now being in the league as long as he has, not really producing, he just has that stigma of not being a quality receiver. So I'm hoping that he gets a shot in the right situation where he can kind of show and prove the type of player he really is. I think he's still got a little bit in him, especially as again, another guy, 6'3", 220, 225, big slot, kind of move around, do a lot of things for you. So I'm excited to see where he might end up. Tight ends, not too many marquee names here. Kyle Rudolph, Cameron Brate, Mercedes Lewis, some veteran guys, some good pass catchers, decent blockers. Again, a veteran that'll come in for an injury, or teams that may have a young group of tight ends who don't produce in training camp. They don't see what they want. So they want to go out and get a veteran to, shore up that position. And on the offensive line, Taylor Lewan, Dalton Risner, Justin Pugh, Chase Roulier, and George Fant. Taylor Lewan has been a solid tackle in the NFL for a long time. I think a team needing a tackle is definitely going to ping his line for sure. You need tackles in this business. And if you have a young guy, again, who's unproven, or if you sustain an injury, I think he might get a call early on to come in and compete. Same with Dalton Risner, only 28 years old, started 62 games the last however many, 4 or 5 seasons. He's been a solid starter at guard for the Denver Broncos. So I could see a team calling his name pretty early as well. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we got some defensive tackles, some older guys. Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, Akeem Hicks, Tyson Alualu. I think these guys could wait. And I think you saw last season when, the Eagles had injuries, not in training camp, but late in the season, where they went out and brought in both Suh and Linval Joseph to kind of shore up that defensive line. I think with those guys, there may be a similar situation this year, unless a significant injury happens in training camp that we see. Defensive ends, I think this is a better crop. 4 key free agents: Yannick Ngakoue, Jadeveon Clowney, Robert Quinn, Mark Ingram. And then another name to throw in there that, we could see some movement on is Danielle Hunter via trade. So Yannick Ngakoue has been a consistent 8.5 plus sack pass rusher in the NFL for the past however many seasons. He's been really, really solid at the position. I think the only thing that is hindering him from, being snatched in free agency early or sticking with a team, because after he left Jacksonville, he was with Minnesota, then he was with Baltimore, then he was with Indy, he was with the Raiders for a little bit, I think. He bounced around to so many different teams, and I think the issue with him is his inability to stop the run. So you can only bring him on the field for third downs, third and long, maybe second and long if you feel like a team is going to pass, but he is a liability in the run game. But I think 4 teams who already are good at stopping the run on all levels, right? Not only the defensive front, but in your second unit, the linebackers, your third unit, the secondary. I think teams that are good at stopping the run can take a flyer on Yannick Ngakoue. There's a lot of 49er content creators that say, hey, Yes, we got some young guys in the building. We got Drake Jackson. We want to see what he can do. We just got Cleveland Farrell. He could be a reclamation project for Chris Kosaric. We drafted Robert Beal. Kid's amazing, explosive get off. But maybe we want to shore up that opposite defensive end position from Nick Bosa and get a guy like Yannick Ngakoue. I think the 49ers would be a perfect team for Yannick, even though he doesn't stop the run, because we're really good at stopping the run on all three levels. I don't think teams are going to say run at Yannick Ngakoue because we're going to have big holes and we'll be able to run all over the 49ers by just going at this guy. Even thinking about that logically, that makes you one-dimensional. If I know you're going to run that way, then, okay, I'm going to let you have that. If you can't run to the opposite side and you can't run up the middle and our coverage is so solid that you can't pass the ball on us, we'll give you that all day. You take that. We'll take everything else away from you. And I think it'll be hard for teams to beat us like that. Jadeveon Clowney, can't call him a bust because he's had a consistent career in the NFL. He's had some really, really good moments, but he hasn't lived up to the hype from him coming out of college. Do I still think he can be a dynamite pass rusher on a team that already has pieces? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd rather take Jadeveon Clowney over Yannick Ngakoue because of how explosive he is. And because I think he can do more. I think you don't worry about Clowney stopping the run as much as you do with Yannick Ngakoue. The issue with Clowney is personality, is character, is he going to jive with the locker room? And how he ended his time in Cleveland, I don't think that bodes well for him. Excuse me. And then you have Danielle Hunter. Minnesota had a window. Minnesota had a solid team, and the defense was really good. They had Danielle Hunter. They had Everson Griffin, Michael Kendricks, Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith on that back end. The defense was pretty solid. I think now, moving on from Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins getting a year older, I think Danielle Hunter is realizing that my opportunity to win in this league may not be with the Minnesota Vikings. So him calling for a trade, I think, is what he feels is best for him. I think the trade market isn't as on fire as it would be because things popped off after the draft. So teams who would be trading away assets, the Vikings, technically, who would be receiving assets, they don't get that return on their investment right away. So it's not in the interest of the Vikings to move him now because somebody is getting instant return while they have to wait until the 2024 NFL draft. I think a team is going to have to get desperate enough to say what we thought we had on our defensive line is not what we have. And our window is now, our opportunity to compete is now, and Danielle Hunter moves that needle for us. So you could see him getting moved. So just keep your eyes and ears open for that if your team is in the need of a pass rusher. I got some questions here. I think our catching crew is good. How is it? I think our catching crew is good how it is. Can't wait to see these guys come alive this season. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need any of the wide receivers on this list. Would it be fun to have DeAndre Hopkins on our team? Yes, but I like there's not enough footballs to go around. I mean, we have Debo, who's going to get his touches, and that's going to increase if he returns to his 2020 form. Everybody is clamoring about Brandon Ayuk and just the leaps that he's taken. So he's going to command more touches. We have George Kittle, a top tight end in the league. Christian McCaffrey's going to get his touches. Um, I I don't know how Nuke fits into that ecosystem. And I think as a player, Nuke is just different. I don't think he would come to us anyway, just because he knows like y'all good. Y'all don't need my services here. Let me go somewhere where they need my services. Are you more worried or optimistic about Drake, Cleveland, and Colton? I'm actually not worried at all. I'm more optimistic. I think Drake Jackson, another year on this team, can do wonders. I wanted to see if he would spend some time with Nick Bosa in the offseason and kind of get on his workout regimen and kind of get his body chiseled like Nick Bosa's. I know if that was me, I'd be like, yo, Nick, I'm just come work down there with you and Joey. Y'all show me what it is y'all do and how y'all do it. And let me pick up some things from y'all. Let me get my body right so that when I get back, I already know the body's right. I got the mental down. Now I can just go play. He did make some changes to his body. You see he's a little bit bigger, cut a little bit of that baby fat off, so it's more muscle. I'm optimistic. Cleveland Farrell, again, a lot of people were arguing and saying that Cleveland Farrell might have been better than Nick Bosa. A lot of people were saying, oh, Nick Bosa is only getting the clout because of his older brother and his dad, and he's got, family lineage in the NFL. But Cleveland Farrell was a monster at Clemson, and I think he was one of the top pass rushers in that class. I think he went to a situation, and I thought about this too, like, how come he went there and he couldn't succeed as, a top 10 draft pick, but they get somebody like Matt Crosby in the 4th, 5th round, 6th round, and Matt Crosby blows up into the star. I think some systems benefit other players more than they do some. And I think it was just a situation where that was a system that fit Max Crosby more than it fit what Cleveland Farrell does. What I'm hoping is that with all of Cleveland Farrell's skill set, that he's in a system now with the 49ers where it fits his skill set and he's able to shine. We know teams are going to be focused on Nick Bosa. Because teams are going to be focused on Nick Bosa, that allows our new defensive tackle that we signed, Javon Hargrave, that allows him to get some more feed, right? That allows him to get some more shine. So if you're focused on Nick Bosa and you're focused on Javon Hargrave, and then you still got to worry about Eric Armstead, then that means that 4th guy, there's not a lot of attention being shown to that guy. And I think a rotation of Drake, Cleveland Farrell, of Robert Beal Jr., oh, man. I think that opposite defensive end spot could have 15 sacks amongst those 3 guys. If each one of those guys can get 5 sacks apiece, that's a win. Even if I'll say 12 to 15, if each of those guys can get 4 sacks apiece, that's like having one guy there who got 12. So if you want to say a Yannick Ngakoue or Jadeveon Clowney, you could have one guy get 12 or 15, or do you have a platoon of guys who get you that same amount of number? And I think a platoon of guys who can get 4 to 5 sacks apiece on that opposite side. Nick gets you 15. That platoon gets you 15. You get 10 from Hargrave. You get 8 from Armstead. And that's just 7 guys. That's not including who we blitz off the edge. That's not including nickel blitzes, corner blitzes. I'm very optimistic about what we have and who we have coaching them. Great question, Kels. Go ahead, run at Ngakoue, Warner, and Greenlaw are like, of course. And that's what I'm saying. The teams that have solid run defenses, they're not worried about Yannick Ngakoue. But that's why he was been able to be on so many different teams, because at the end of the day, what he offers as a pass rusher is more valuable. Teams all the time, just like in business, they do a cost-benefit analysis. And when they do a cost-benefit analysis on Yannick Ngakoue, they say, are we more worried about his inability to stop the run, or are we going to benefit more from him getting after the passer? And at the end of the day, they always there is more benefit of him getting after the passer, but it has to be the right situation. Kel says, I'm hella optimistic. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have no reason not to be. Let's finish getting through these veteran free agents. We'll touch some camp storylines, and then we'll get you guys out of here to enjoy the rest of your Friday and hopefully start your weekend off the right way. Linebackers, Miles Jack, Anthony Barr, Quan Alexander, Kyle Van Noy. I'm surprised by what's going on with Miles Jack, and maybe I haven't been paying as much attention to it as I need to. I'm sure there's some issues with injury. He had those devastating knee injuries in college at UCLA. But then he got to the NFL. He's had a solid career with Jacksonville. Went to the Steelers, did a little bit decent there. But like, I don't know what is the issue. You know, if it was me understanding how, and then there's a article from the Steel Curtain through Fansided that says Miles Jack was far worse for the Steelers than most fans realize. And maybe he's, because of the injuries that he sustained, maybe his decline is starting a little bit earlier. He's only 27 years old. You think 27 years old, guy in his prime, what could be the issue? But maybe, you know, the trade from Jacksonville got to the Steelers, took a dip, and that's why he's still, you know, waiting to be called. I think he still has the athleticism to play the position. I think he has the football IQ to play the position. It would take the right situation. Who calling me from? Oh, I don't know that number. We're not going to answer that. How dare you call me during my show? Anthony Barr, same thing. Another UCLA guy, highly athletic. Is a tweener, right? That outside linebacker, pass rusher, kind of can do it all, but really hasn't found a niche and really took that athleticism to the next level. Quan Alexander, a good linebacker, misses too many tackles for me. Kyle Van Noy, a wily old veteran, but again, teams like to go younger, and then if they need that veteran presence, they'll probably get him, you know, towards the middle or the end of training camp. Cornerbacks, Marcus Peters, one of my favorite players in the NFL, William Jackson, Bryce Callahan, and the infamous Eli Apple. Marcus Peters, he is 30 years old, so again, they're going to tell you that this is a young man's game, but when you talk about football IQ and being a ball hawk, there isn't anyone better at the position than Marcus Peters. Yes, he did tear his ACL, but he had a solid year coming back from that, so this will be his second year removed from that injury. I think he will add some pop, some spunk, some dog to a few secondaries in this league. Shout out to, again, my brother Wayne Breezy. Shout out to the bro John Chapman. They were talking about secondaries today, particularly in the NFC West. And we were looking at the cornerback room for some of these teams. I think Marcus Peters, I mean, he was already on the Rams. I think he can do another stint with the Rams because they need it after moving on from Jalen Ramsey. I don't think he would go back because it's now like, hey, man, we need you again, even though we traded you away so we can get Jalen Ramsey. I knowing Marcus Peters, he probably tell him some stuff that I can't say on live right now. But William Jackson, he has the speed. Kind of worry about him in coverage a little bit. Bryce Callahan, I think, would be a good nickel for a lot of teams. Again, injuries kind of hampered him, but he's been able to stay healthy as of late. And then Eli Apple, I'd stay far away. I stay far away from Eli Apple. I love his mentality. I love his he's gonna go out there and he's gonna play. No matter what you say, no matter the negativity that comes his way, he's going to go out there. He's going to play for better or for worse. Whether he make a good play, whether he make 8 bad plays in a row, he's going to go play. I think if every player had his mentality, some of the greats would be even greater just because he's just going to go and just do it. He just doesn't do it well. He doesn't do it well. And then safeties, we got John Johnson, Deron Harmon, Logan Ryan. Again, the John Johnson experiment with the Browns didn't work. Again, I think is another candidate. He could go back to the Rams. Their safety position, again, just like their corner position, lacking some solid pieces, some star power. He's a veteran, only 27 years old. Unlike Miles Jack, no injury history in his prime. He's really good as a center fielder. So I think a former team of his or a team that sustains an injury would love to bring in a guy like John Johnson just because of what he can do as a ball hawk on that back end. That's going to do it for the free agent veterans. And we're just going to have to see what happens, as we get into training camp. Again, we don't want and we don't wish for anyone to get injured. But we do know in this tough, rugged, violent game of football that players do get injured. Another comment from Kelts. He says, I think this will be the first year we have a trio of 10 sack guys in 49er history. Bryant Young was a half sack away in 98 from making it happen. We haven't even had a duo have 10 since 98. Okay. He says, I think this is the first year we will have a trio. So my question is, Kelts, who are the 3? I'm going to assume that Nick Bosa and Javon Hargrave are 1 and 2. I want to know who your third guy is, who you think will have 10-plus sacks for the 49ers, and finally allow us to say that we made that happen in our storied franchise, adding another milestone and accolade to our storied franchise history. All right. We got 6 camp storylines, and because this is our first show, we got to stay with the most important position. All of these storylines are going to be focused on the quarterback position. And I have these ordered from least important to most important. So we'll spend time on them accordingly. First one, can Deshaun Watson become elite again? Outside of football aside, whatever your thoughts or feelings on him as a person, whatever he went through, we're strictly talking football. He missed all of 2021. He was suspended for the first 11 games in 2022. So that's 27, 28 total games that he missed, right? Had a full off season. He did play last year, struggled a little bit. That's to be expected. But now going into this season, knowing that there is no suspension, he's starting week 1. Can he return, to being elite again? The contract that he received when he got traded from the Texans to the Browns would tell you that he was an elite quarterback, but we have not seen that on the field. So that is a camp storyline to watch. How does he progress during training camp? How does he look during training camp sessions, throwing sessions? How does he look in these preseason games? Is he poised to return to that form, or has all of the off-field stuff completely tanked and derailed his career? Is he just going to be a good quarterback, an okay quarterback, a mid-tier quarterback? That is a storyline that I'm watching, because whether, you agree with what he did or not, or you believe he did it or he didn't, on the football field, he was a dynamic football player, and he was ascending to be one of the faces of the league. It was Patrick Mahomes and then Deshaun Watson. Ironically, they were in the same draft class, so he was on that trajectory to be one of the top guys in the league. Now, Joe Burrow overtaking him, Josh Allen overtaking him. Jalen Hurts overtaking him. Justin Herbert is on his way. Lamar Jackson overtaking him. So can he get back into that elite young quarterback conversation in the NFL? Storyline that I'm definitely looking forward to watching. Number 2, can Justin Fields turn the corner in year 3? To me, this is a little bit of a loaded question because it puts all the onus on Justin Fields, right? It says, Justin Fields, are you going to be good in year 3? Are you finally going to turn the corner? I don't think Chicago is the right situation for him. I don't think Matt Eberflus is the right coach to be coaching Justin Fields. I don't. And yes, you went out and you got him DJ Moore. You got Darnell Mooney. He's got a good tight end in Cole Kmet. I don't think it's enough. I don't think he's in an offensive system that is built for his skill set, but that can also do things outside of his skill set that will also make him successful. Route combinations, getting guys open, setting up the running game properly. And you're going into, and I know he's been a solid backup for the past couple of years, but you're going into the season with Deontay Foreman as your starting running back. Khalil Herbert backing him. I just don't think that he's in the right situation in order to turn the corner. Does that mean him as a player? He's not ready to turn the corner. He's not ready to, elevate his game to that next level. I think he is. I think as a player he is. I think more time in the league, more experience. Absolutely. 1,000%. But is he in a situation that will allow him to really be good and allow him to take the personal growth and professional growth that he's attaining and maximize that? That's when you see someone like Tom Brady ascend. That's when you see these young guys like a Patrick Mahomes ascend. He did all of the things that he needed to do to get himself in a position where he was ready to play quarterback in the NFL. But then he had a coach and a system that maximized that. We knew he had the physical ability. We knew he had the arm. Obviously, coming out of Texas Tech, we're like, the competition, inconsistencies. This guy isn't going to be a great NFL player. But the right coach, the right system, saw something and maximized on Patrick Mahomes' own growth and development. Shout out to the bro, Ty Austin, man. I appreciate you so much. He told me earlier, he said, you starting the show today? I'm going to be there. He said, I'm late. Wifey messed up the game plan. Don't blame the missus, man. We can't do that. We can't blame the missus. Listen, we all know they be switching up. We be having a timeline, and then they be like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do it, and you be like, all right, babe, whatever. We all know that we messing up, but we can't blame the missus on the Mose No Show. But I feel what you're talking about, brother. I see you. But you said you was gonna be here. I don't care if you came in with 30 seconds left. Man of your word, stop by the building. I appreciate you so much. He says, I agree with you on Fields. He's in a bad team situation. Absolutely. As a player, I think he can do it. I don't think he's in the right situation to maximize his growth. Storyline number 3. Did the Giants overpay for Daniel Jones? No, I don't think they overpaid for Daniel Jones. I think Brian Daboll and the staff there were pleasantly surprised with what they saw from Daniel Jones. And I think that speaks to Brian Daboll and his staff's ability to develop quarterbacks. I know I'm saying some triggering words for some of the 49er faithful who may be tuned in right now or may be listening to this later when we talk about developing quarterbacks. But Brian Daboll had a hand in developing Josh Allen into the quarterback you see today. And he had a hand in developing Daniel Jones into the quarterback that we saw last year. And I think another year with him, another offseason of them gaining more trust, gaining more chemistry, I think you see a continued development and maturation process in Daniel Jones. They didn't make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, so they didn't overpay. And they don't have to start the process over. Daniel Jones is a young quarterback. He has all the tools, big guy, strong arm. He's mobile. He can move. Listen, don't be surprised if Daniel Jones takes another leap. Unfortunately, they're in a really, really tough division. So that may not equate to a lot of wins and going deep into the playoffs. But I think the Giants are in a really, really good situation with that combination of Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones. Just like we were talking about with Justin Fields. Daniel Jones is in the right situation, and him developing his skill set is being maximized by what Brian Daboll is doing with him from a developmental standpoint and what he's doing schematically on the field. It's got him some more weapons. They're looking to bring Saquon Barkley back. I think Daniel Jones will be just fine. Number 4, will the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson experiment work in Denver? I don't have an answer to that yet. I want to see how it plays out. You think, Russell Wilson, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning head coach. How can it not work? I think Russell Wilson is more high maintenance than he portrays himself to be. Is he a solid dude? Sure. Does he love his wife? Absolutely. Does he love his kids? Great dad? Sure. Does he work hard? Absolutely. I think Russell Wilson is more high maintenance than to be let on. I mean, when he got to Denver, he asked for his own office, like a private office. What? Bro, if you don't get in the locker room with the rest of the guys, what you need an office for? So you come to the facility, you go to your office first, because you got a desk and a computer. What? You go to your office first, sit in there, and then you go downstairs to the locker room and go to practice, and then you come back and dog, what? That's why Sean Payton, get rid of this office. Get rid of this. So I don't know. Sean Payton already ruffling feathers by getting rid of Russ's office. But then you think, Sean Payton had a really good relationship with Drew Brees. That was a different time. Sean Payton was trying to make his name as a head coach in the NFL. Drew Brees was trying to reestablish his career coming off a really, really gruesome injury when he was with the Chargers. They both go to a situation in New Orleans where this is a team that's been, in the bottom tier of the league for a long time, and a city that has just gone through one of the most devastating natural disasters that we've seen in our history. All of those circumstances allowed them to forge a relationship that ultimately led to them winning a Super Bowl championship. So you have a young Sean Payton trying to make his name, a quarterback trying to prove himself. They come together to make magic happen. This is not what this is. Russell Wilson is proven. He's got a Super Bowl championship. He's got accolades. He's got all pros. He's got the contracts. He's made the big money. Sean Payton is also proven. He's got the contracts. He's got a movie about himself. He didn't make the movie, but there's a Sean Payton movie. He has a Super Bowl ring. So now you have two proven guys who did it two different ways coming together and trying to figure out if they can make that work. Obviously, towards the end, Russell clashed with Pete. Is he going to clash with Sean? I don't know. I think it's too soon to say that right now. So we're gonna have to see how this experiment works. When they're in those tough games against the Chiefs, and Sean wants to do it one way, but Russell wants to do it another way. Who do you defer to? Russell could say, I've been in this division for a year. I've seen this team twice already. This is based off of seeing them, playing them, studying them. This is what I'm feeling based on that experience. And Sean could say, true, but you didn't do it last year. And this is what I see as the X's and O's guy. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. We'll definitely have to wait and see on that one. Let's see what we got here. Say it in a low voice, wifey. You got to say it in a low voice. You got to make sure they can hear. Ty says, Giants identified Jones as a guy that can run his system. If you think you have your guy, you got to take the plunge. Absolutely. Quiet as kept. Daniel Jones completed 67% of his passes last year. Yo. That's nothing to sneeze at. Kel says, I'm going to need you to travel through the Bronx and find me some left-handed golf clubs. Russ. Listen, if you can't find a golf club, at least go get some of that cheesecake on his Diddy. Man. Let's see what else we got. Number 5. Can Aaron Rodgers return to MVP form with the Jets? Again, this is something that we're going to have to watch and see. But I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say yes. I think, and in just some of the clips that I've seen of him in OTAs, him working with the guys, I think he's in a new situation. And because it's new and because it's different, he kind of has that energy back. He kind of looks like Aaron Rodgers again. It's like he put down the ashwagandha and all of that stuff. Like, I think he needed to do all of that stuff when he was in Green Bay, just because he was so overwhelmed and overloaded with the BS. And he had guys, but he needed guys, and he wanted to make things work and was trying to continue to get pieces to put around him. And he was like, well, he had Aaron Jones and he had Devontae Adams and he had all, like, what more could you need? But I really don't think the front office incorporated him in a lot of the moves as it got, later on to his time and his stint there. And for that very reason, I think it took a toll on him mentally. I think mentally he's clear-headed. I think he's focused. I think he brought his guys over. He's got Alan Lazard, but then you think about the pieces that they have there. He's got a young Garrett Wilson he's a young killer. Breece Hall coming off of ACL, but ACL returns don't seem to be as bad or as stressful as they used to be. Breece could return to form by midseason. I do worry about the offensive line a little bit. They are young. I want Mekhi Becton to succeed. He's had a few injuries. Dwayne Brown is like 39, 37. He's 37. A little bit older, but he's a veteran to lock up that left side. Laken Tomlinson, we know he's a stud. Elijah Vera Tucker. And if Connor McGovern doesn't lock down that center spot, I think Joe Tittman as a young rookie could come in and start at center for them. Do you want a rookie center starting for Aaron Rodgers? I think if they build trust, absolutely fine. Then you add a guy like Mecole Hardman with the speed. I think as far as weapons, and this is tough to say because he had Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, but as far as weapons, this is a young group of weapons that he is excited about. And we know Robert Saleh and that Jets defense are going to play really, really good. So yeah, I think he can return to MVP form and make some noise with the Jets. And shout out to my bro Boss, if he's still in the building. Oh my goodness, brother Callie has made an appearance in the building. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says, Big Mose, LFG. Y'all know what that means. We got Marty Marr, 49er Empire. Yo, what's good, Mose? What's good, family? How y'all doing? And we here. Boss says earlier, this was his comment. What's poppin', Mose? How you feeling about the Trey Lance talk? And I said we was going to get to it. My final training camp storyline. It's the last one. Who starts for the 49ers? I'm sure a lot of people in the league are looking at the 49ers to see what we're going to do. I think there are a lot of people on the spectrum to say, listen, depending on who the 49ers start, we're going to have to worry about them. Depending on who the 49ers start, we might not have to worry about them. So I think there are people around the league, both teams and fans alike, who want to know where we're going with this starting quarterback position. And to be perfectly honest with you, man, I think this has been said, so I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking. But I think we know what we have in Brock Purdy. We know what we have in him. I think the sample size that we got, although it wasn't a full season, we got enough of a sample size to know this is what we have in Brock Purdy. We don't have that with Trey Lance. And even if you want to say that this opinion is not to hate on Brock Purdy or to be Team Trey, just in this the stance of we need to know what we have. We need to know, is Trey Lance the quarterback that we thought we were drafting him at 3? Does he have the upside and the potential to skyrocket from where he is now and be an elite quarterback in his league and put his name up there with the Joe Burrows and the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes and those type of guys? Is he that? Can he be that for us? And I think you have to start him in order to answer that question. Brock is returning from the injury to his elbow. He didn't do the complete repair, or else he would have been completely out this season. I think he did the semi-repair because he wanted to make sure that he got back in time in order to play so he wouldn't lose his spot. My hope is that he doesn't re-injure it and make it worse, because that mentality is what happens and why players get hurt worse and then, are never the same again because of that I have to be available mentality, right? But I think it would be in the best interest for the 49ers to start Trey Lance and see what he has and see what he can do. And if he doesn't live up to those expectations, if he cannot do what Brock did, I'm not even going to say that, because he can't do what Brock did. He can only be Trey. If he can't live up to the expectations of what you thought he would be, this young guy, big arm, super athletic and mobile, can make all the throws, but he has that something extra. He has that intangible that you cannot quantify that will springboard him into superstardom. If he has that, great. If he doesn't, cool. You have to find out, though. You're not going to find out with him sitting on the bench. And if he doesn't have it, you can say, we tried it, doesn't have it. We're going back to Brock Purdy. We know what we got. We gave him some extra time to get his bearings together. He's 100% cleared. He's been throwing consistently. No pain, no residual anything from the surgery. He's 100% good to go. We've tried Trey for half a season. We're sitting at 5-3, 6-2, maybe even 4-4. But he isn't giving us what we need to get over that hump. Because we could be 6-2 and he not be the reason for it. Our defense could be so lights out in the first half that we may be winning games, low scoring games, winning by less than a touchdown, maybe a touchdown. And it's just because he's managing the game, but he isn't doing anything spectacular. I still would move on from him at 6-2 because I got a guy who's healthier, who's a little bit more dynamic, and we were scoring 30 plus with him. You gotta see. You gotta see. That's my thing. You gotta see. You gotta see. Let Trey cook. You gotta let him cook. You gotta let him cook. Callie says, I'm with you if Brock isn't ready week 1. So that means if Brock is ready week 1, that means he goes out there and we don't see what happens to Trey. With Trey, we don't see. And this is what this is what I would hate. If we obviously if we win it with Brock, I could care less. But for the person, I would hate for that to happen, but then also for him to go to another team and to realize that potential. And if he goes to another team and realizes that potential and becomes one of those top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in the league and is better than Brock, then what? Again, I don't think it'll matter as long as Brock is winning. Brock doesn't have to be a top 5 quarterback in the league as long as he's winning games and the 49ers win games. And if Brock wins a Super Bowl, then who cares? But that's it. He said, unfortunately, we might be left with a cliffhanger on one of our QBs. Personally, I want to see Trey's full ceiling in a 49er uniform. That's it. Sis is in the building. Shout out to Christy Marie. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's it. It's what Kelt said. If we see his full ceiling, I want it to be with us. I don't want for all of this to happen and it not be. He said, what if Trey stinks it up, then at least you know he don't got it. And that was my whole point. If you start Trey and he stinks it up, then you can definitively say. And that's why I said you give him 6 games, give him 8 games, give him the first half of the season. Because really the way Kyle been looking at the season for the past couple years, we've been getting on him anyway. Because he'll start slow. We started 5-3. We was 4-5 or 4-3 or 4th. Like we start slow, lose some games that we're not supposed to lose, and then as we get to the beginning of November, late October, maybe mid-November, then that's when we want to start turning it on, and we go on a run, and then we get in the playoffs, and then once we get in the playoffs, we good. So if that's his philosophy anyway, just give Trey half the season. Brock had the last 6 games of the season plus playoffs. At least give him 6 to 8. And if Trey stinks it up, and like I said, I think our team is good enough for Trey to stink it up and we still be 4-4, 5-3. Our team is constructed so well that our defense will play lights out. We have enough playmakers on offense and a head coach who's an offensive mastermind who can put us in position to win games, even if Trey isn't playing really, really well. And once you get to that point where you say, yeah, we're winning games, but we could be playing better, then you go with Brock. But at least you got to see it in a excuse me. At least you got to see it in a consistent stretch of games where Trey has got to play. He's got to go into the day after or when they come in on Tuesday, watch the film, make some adjustments, go into the next game. Come out of that game, watch the film, make adjustments, go into the next game. You at least get to see that pattern. And if by game 6 or 7, he's still making the same mistakes, he's not doing the things that he's supposed to be doing, he's missing check downs, he's missing wide open guys, his accuracy isn't on point. If you start to see those things, then you make that move. I think we're in a position to allow Trey to stink it up if he stinks it up. But my opposite to this is, what if he doesn't stink it up, Callie? What if he doesn't stink it up? What if all the things that he's been doing in the offseason, all the work he's been putting in, changing his mechanics, working with Patrick Mahomes, what if the conversations with Patrick Mahomes and the gems and the jewels that he got from Patrick Mahomes, what if that's what it was to flip the light switch? So not only do I have the mechanics now, but I got the mentality from a guy who did it, who people didn't believe in too. I feel you, bro. You gotta ride the hot hand. I feel you. But I don't know how hot Brock's hand is coming off that injury. And now teams got tape on him. I don't know. It's a conundrum. And that's why it's my top camp storyline. Yes, I'm a 49ers fan, but as a content creator, this is his top storyline for me because we really don't know what's going to happen. Chrissy says, forever a fan of Trey, wishing him and Purdy the best. Kelt says, Brock needs to go on an extended honeymoon and fully heal. We're going to get to that in a second. We say it all the time. Love the chat, man. Y'all a step ahead of it. I didn't even release what the show was about. Y'all always a step ahead. Mose, why does Trey lose his job from injury, but Purdy don't? I mean, I don't think Trey really lost his job from injury. I think he may have had a chance to come back if his fractured ankle wasn't a season-ending injury. I think he would have had a chance to come back and improve it. But I think with where the ankle was, in order to make sure that it fully healed, he was deemed to be out for the season. So I get what you're saying. Injuries for both guys. Unfortunately, Brock's injury happened at a point where, he had the whole off season to kind of get ready. And thankfully, with the advancement with the advancement of technology, he could go a certain way about repairing it. That wasn't a complete repair, which would have been the Tommy John surgery that would have had him out longer. So I think if he did have the Tommy John surgery, we wouldn't even be talking about this because there would be no him coming back. I think the argument would be more, do we go Trey Lance or do we go Sam Darnold? I think that's an easy question. You go Trey Lance. Yes, Sam Darnold is in a new situation. I think he's, reinvigorated. He's back in California, where he's from. I think there's a lot of things that play into it. He's with an offensive-minded head coach. He's on the best team he's ever been on. That's all positives for Sam Darnold. All positives for Sam Darnold. But I think that's an easy question. It's Trey Lance if that was the situation. Everyone is just assuming Brock is QB1. However, Kyle hasn't said a thing, so no one truly knows. Yeah, Kyle hasn't said anything. And I think Kyle is not only going to do right by the player, he's going to do right by the team. I don't, no matter how good Brock is throwing the ball, if there's anything that shows up in an x-ray, doctor recommendations, or if Brock says, I'm not 100%, I don't know if Kyle is going to throw him out there. Because if he's not 100%, you throw Brock out there, he re-injures the elbow worse, and really does have to get Tommy John surgery. If he's not a fan of Trey Lance, or if Trey Lance isn't the guy, then you're stuck. So I think we're going to have to see how far Brock's rehab gets, where he is come week 1, and if Trey does anything in training camp to say, I want to see more. And I think the onus is on Trey as well. Let me not take that away from him as a player. I think the onus is on Trey. The onus is on Trey. Make me start you. If I'm the head coach, make me start you. That's what I told my son playing AAU basketball. That's one of the reasons why I couldn't be on here as much, because he's playing AAU basketball, and I want to give all my attention to my son so he could be the best player that he could be. But I told him AAU is different. He played travel for our local town team. He was the starting five, starting center. He goes to AAU. He's not starting. But I said this is a different level. You're playing with a lot of really, really good players. Give coach a reason to start you. Make him start you. And that has to be the onus that's on Trey. Yeah, we got Brock Purdy here. Cool. You could be friends with Brock. Y'all could be good teammates. Everything is good. Y'all brothers. Cool. Make Kyle start you. Show him something in training camp. Show him something in preseason games where he says, all right, show me more, and keep building on that. So the onus is on Trey. Kyle will always make sure to be the star. And if Trey shows him more and makes him start, Kyle is going to say, I developed him. I saw it in him. I never gave up on him. And that's why we are where we are now. What if hanging with Mahomes and Kittle and Ayuk again makes Trey a killer under center? Listen, all of that stuff is viable. Getting that from Mahomes. I would never put this on anybody because I don't think we need to seek validation from other people. But we are human, and sometimes we do seek validation from the people that we deem to be important to us. And maybe that validation from Kittle is another thing that Trey needed. Maybe. Not likely, but maybe. Flow Right Plumbing, Andy Smith says, what's up, Mose and my Niner fam? Glad to have you in the building, bro. Thank you so much for tuning in. Mose Jr. is in AAU. That's a good look. Definitely higher in talent, but iron sharpens iron. Yes, and he has gotten better. It was a tough road. But he has gotten better. He's continuing to push forward. So I'm excited about his growth. And can't wait to continue to see him play. Obstacles have derailed Trey. It's business. Trey has to take it. He's got to. Chrissy said, good job, Mose. My son just starting football. Oh, nice. What position is he playing, Christy? Definitely tell him to keep grinding, go out there. Put his best foot forward, keep his head up. He's going to make mistakes, but to learn from those mistakes, keep playing because you got another snap to do it better. All right. So yeah, that's my training camp storylines. That's my talk, my spiel for those storylines. But yeah, training camp is going to be a very, very interesting time. Again, most training camps start July 18th with rookies reporting, and then veterans will be reporting sometime after that. What's this? Lego My Ego. Please don't ask for shout outs. Please, before your question, it helps Mose pick you out of the chat. Yeah, I don't think anybody asked for shout outs, but I appreciate that, Lego My Ego. Everybody in here is people that I know, family. So yeah, I don't think anybody has asked for shout outs, but appreciate that. Christian, wide receiver, they are the Delta Patriots. Listen, I wanted to be a wide receiver. Obviously, I'm a 49ers fan because growing up, I watched Jerry Rice, and I wanted to be a wide receiver. I tell this story all the time. My grandmother just fed me like I was an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and that's eventually what I turned into. I was athletic. I wanted to be a wide receiver. And when I played flag football, I would play wide receiver. And I would line up out wide, and they'd be like, what is this? Is this a trick play? And then they would, whoever they had at corner, because there was a faster, more athletic guy, they would move him off of me and put him somewhere else because they thought it was a trick play. And whoever the slowest guy on the defense was, they would put him on. So a lot of times they would take defensive linemen and bring them off the line instead of rushing a passer and then just cover me because they thought I was going to block. I would destroy people all the time. Like whenever my my good friend Matt Bear was our quarterback. And usually first play of the game, whenever I was split out wide, they would do that. They would put another lineman type player on me, and I would look at Bear, and he would look at me and just give me the head nod, and I knew that was a go. I knew it was a go. We just had to look. I would look this way, he would look this way and go like that, and then I would just look forward and look at the person in front of me. You could see it in their eyes that they didn't know what was about to happen, and I off the line and I'm gone. Boop, touchdown. And then everybody like, nah. And then next time on offense, they would be like, switch out, like, nah, no, get off of him. Get off of him. So I had fun in college doing that. That was fun. Ty says, if Trey goes out and snatches the QB1 chain, I hope fans. If Trey goes out and snatches the QB1 chain, they don't have any choice but to accept it because that's what you want. Patrick Mahomes snatched it. Joe Burrow snatched it. Yeah, he was drafted number 1 overall, but so was Baker Mayfield. He didn't snatch it. So was Jamarcus Russell. He didn't snatch. That's what you want. You want whoever your starting quarterback is to go snatch that number 1. When Tom Brady did, he snatched that number 1 QB chain. The fans are not going to have a reason to not accept it because if Trey goes out and snatches the QB1 chain, not only are we winning games, but we are a dominant offense. So a dominant offense with a dominant defense. Prime example, the Philadelphia Eagles. Before Jalen Hurts' darn near MVP type season last year, Eagles fans was like, bro, get rid of him. He sucks. He's one of those Alabama quarterbacks that aren't good in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. Go talk to every Eagles fan right now. They are in love with Jalen Hurts. Oh, Jalen Hurts can't go anywhere. He's our quarterback, MVP. If he wasn't injured, he would have won MVP, and he almost won us a Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. They can't say nothing bad about Jalen Hurts right now because he went out and he snatched QB1. 49er fans will not be able to not accept it. I'm sure they'll find a way, though, Callie. With all the chatter about QB1, Kyle is not saying anything. What's your thoughts? He's keeping it close to the vest. Because I think he already understands the media firestorm that it already is. So he's keeping it close to the vest. And I think that's the best for him. That's the best for maybe the psyche of his quarterback room. They are all young guys anyway. So I think if there's anything he's doing right, it's that. He's keeping it close to the vest. I think the guys in the room know what time it is. He knows what time it is. And at the end of the day, it's about football and who makes it happen. He said, I'm a mile for a couple of Chiefs Kingdom content creators. My bad. Didn't mean to step on anyone's toes. No, you didn't step on anyone's toes. I didn't even peep that you were a Chiefs fan. I do see it in your what's the name now. No, I don't think you stepped on anybody's toes. I was just making sure that there wasn't anyone in here who asked for a shout out. But again, I like I said, I appreciate you mentioning that. Eventually my plan is to get to a point where maybe I'm not able to see all of the comments right now. We're in a family environment, and I'm glad that I'm able to get to all the comments, or as many of the comments as I can. So yeah, man, I don't think you stepped on anybody's toes. Appreciate you being in the building and catching the stream for sure. Ty says, no better feeling than getting that nod from the QB. And you're on the same page. Bro, it really isn't. It really isn't. And I try to explain it to people. And like, if you don't understand football, like you don't get it. Like whenever I got that nod, it was like I knew it was going to be a touchdown. Like whenever that nod came, it was like, bro, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. The only time it wasn't a touchdown was when we were in the flag championship. And if we won that game, we go to nationals. And the other team who played us before and knew what we were trying to do, like they knew it. Like, so I think somebody saw the head nod and was like, watch Mose on the post. So then we had to, watch Mose on the deep route. And so we had to scrap it. And I think like I ran a post corner. Yeah, I can remember that vividly. It was like watch Mose on the deep route, and then the safety came over a little bit. So I improvised. I ran a post corner. So when I ran that post, the safety bit, and so did the corner. And then I went back to the sideline, and then Bear hit me, and then I caught it, and then had to 10 toes it on the sideline. I swear y'all think I'm making this up. I'm not. I got to get Bear on here so that we can have a conversation about my wide receiver days in flag football. But that's the end of the show, man. We're at almost an hour and a half. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Obviously, the theme of this show was love and football. So as a person who is happily married, y'all saw Mrs. Mose Nose in here earlier. We just celebrated 14 years of marriage this past June 26th. We were in Chicago, had an absolutely amazing time. As someone who, is in love, happily in love, married a long time, I love to see people that are in love. If you saw the thumbnail, you kind of know where I'm going. Love and football, kind of play on the title of the previous movie. And speaking of our quarterback situation, shout out to Brock Purdy, who popped the question, got down on one knee. This is a beautiful picture to his longtime girlfriend. I think her name is Jenna Brandt. I think she's a professional, what they say, volleyball player, something like that. She's a professional athlete as well. But he popped the question. She said yes. So congratulations to Brock Purdy popping the question to the love of his life. That's always amazing. But the star of the show when it comes to love and football has to be Jordan Mailata, tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. He recently tied the knot to the love of his life. And during the wedding reception, he did this during the father-daughter dance, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. Y'all know how I get down with the vocals. Me and Breezy be singing all the time. So this one hit me in the heartstrings. So let's pull this up real quick.
True love with me, making one as lovely as she, but isn't she lovely? Hey, from love, isn't she pretty? Truly the angels bells. Boy, I'm so happy. We have been held and blessed. I can't believe what God has done. Through us, He's given life to one. But isn't she lovely? Made from love. Isn't she lovely? Life and love are the same.
Woo! That boy know he can sing, man. Isn't she lovely? Woo! Just getting over a cold. That lovely note messed up my throat. Oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. That lovely note took me. Shouldn't have did that. Oh man. But yeah, that was absolutely amazing. Great for him. Tying the knot, being able to sing that for his wife and her father during the father-daughter dance. That messed me up. Goodness gracious. Let me get out of here before I kill myself. Shout out to Flo Wright, Andy Smith. He says, great show. Appreciate you for coming in. Thank you, Ty. Congratulations. Happy anniversary to you both. Callie says, Mose, hopefully I'll see you in Pittsburgh. Bro, it ain't no hopefully. My ticket to the game is purchased. Shout out to my cousin Kyle, who lives in Pittsburgh. He said, I got a place to crash. I'm renting a Tesla. I'm driving from Jersey to Pittsburgh. It's only going to take me about 4.5 hours. I'm going to do the bid in the Tessie, windows down, speakers blasted, but I will be in Pittsburgh. I'm leaving Friday afternoon. She be down there by Friday night. We'll link up Saturday. I believe John Chapman is doing a rush party in Pittsburgh. So we'll link up Saturday at the rush party. I'm going to be at the game, be at the tailgate. It ain't no hopefully, bro. I will see you in Pittsburgh. Oh, my goodness. Kelps says, congratulations. We just hit 13 years over here. Congratulations to you and yours as well. It's not a small feat, bro. Not a small feat. So for you guys to make it that long, listen, I wish another 13 years and another 13 years and another 13 years after that. Congratulations to you as well. Callie Young, Mose is there. Wayne is there. We all there, baby. Let's go. We all in Pittsburgh. It's going to be crazy. We're going to start the season off right in Pittsburgh. I can't wait to see all y'all there. Oh, my brother done hit the stream. Niner Gang Podcast. Go give him a subscription if you haven't already. I like it. That's dope. I'll finally meet Breezy in Arizona. Already got my ticket too. Let's get it. Listen, man, I appreciate. Oh! All right. I just need 5 more minutes because there's another reason why I haven't been doing shows as consistently. And I'm glad that Last Second Sports, Jesse Naylor is in the building. So, as y'all know, earlier this year, I finally hit the surge. Thanks to all of you guys liking the content, sharing the content, getting people involved, got me over the 1,000 subscribers. And I was close on the watch hours, but I was having some trouble. I reached out to Jesse. Jesse spent a good hour with me on the phone, gave me all, the inside information, tips and tricks. I implemented that into my content and it got me over the watch hours. So I was ready to apply for YouTube monetization. I started the monetization process. I created the Google AdSense account. I went through the application, everything, and I was just in a waiting period. So it was taking longer than I thought it would. So then I went and looked, and it seems that they revoked my application. Now, YouTube tells you that as long as you have the subscribers and the watch hours when you apply, even if you dip under, we'll still review your application. And if everything is good, you can get monetization. But they reneged on that and they backed out of it. And when I told them about that and showed them that, they were like, oh, yeah, but you still got to do it again. So that it frustrated me. It pissed me off. And it kind of put me in this space like, bro. And not that I'm doing this for money. Not that I'm doing this, to get rich or so that I can charge off or stuff. That's not it. But, the goal is to continue to ascend and continue to grow. And when you have a channel that is monetized, that helps with growth. So them kind of snaking me on that, it kind of demoralized me a little bit. And I was like, bro, I'm focusing on, my son in AAU basketball. I'll get back to the content whenever I get back to the content. But I bring that up because all the information that Jesse has poured into me, John Chapman has poured into me, my brother Breezy has poured into me, it worked. It was there, their effort, their time. It didn't go to waste. And I had to remember that. I had to remember that all of you guys who support me are supporting me because you genuinely like who I am as a person. You like my opinions, whether we agree or disagree, and we can have good, wholesome exchange of content and information and discourse. And I had to get back into that. And a lot of the things that I was teaching my son about mental toughness and fortitude and fighting a good fight, whether it's good or bad, I had to remember that myself. So that's why I'm back at it. So the weekly shows Friday at 4:00. We're going to be consistent. Even during the season when I'm traveling, If I gotta, pull my laptop out when I'm on the road and give you a quick show wherever I'm at, kind of, vlog style on the road, we're gonna do that. But we're going to be consistent with these weekly shows, consistent with additional content. There are some other pieces that I'm putting in place. Some different shows, maybe a Saturday night show through another app. I'll put all of that information out for you guys later. But Jesse being in the building, I wasn't going to tell that story, but he popped in, and I just had to give you guys something that was, on my mind and on my heart. So again, I love and appreciate you all. He says everything happens for a reason. God gives you only a load. You can shoulder. You got this. Also, Jesse is going to be in Pitt. And see, I thought I wasn't going to see Jesse until Jacksonville, because guess what? I'm going to Jacksonville too. We're going to be in the building for Jacksonville as well. But Jesse's going to be in the building in Pittsburgh. Yo, I'm excited now. Pittsburgh is all the family going to be there. Pittsburgh is going to be lit. Listen, I love and appreciate y'all. I will see y'all next Friday, 4 p.m. sharp. We'll talk more training camp football. We'll look at some training camp battles, some rookie battles. We'll figure out what the flow of the show is going to be, but you don't want to miss it. Love and appreciate you guys. See you next week this time. Peace.